Um, if you'd like, so a little bit about me.
Mhm.
I went to college at the University of Tennessee, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do in the very beginning. But I wound up graduating with an economic degree, which was a really great overview of business. So I always liked business. And then when I graduated, they were not looking for a lot of people in that field, but I got my first job as an underwriter at an insurance company in Detroit, actually. So I only did
Oh
that for about a
wow.
year. I know, and there was not a lot of joy. I wasn't good with the same routine thing, and I really liked engaging with other people. So I took a leap of faith and packed my bag and moved in with a friend in Florida, which led me into the restaurant business, and did that for many years. Enjoyed it. The sort of all the variables that come with it. Every day was different situations, training people, and I loved it. But before I took my first job in college, I was waiting tables right before graduation too, and I was offered the job in real estate, but it didn't feel like that was like a real job, like with a paycheck and a briefcase and all that. So that's kind of what led me a different way, but I always wanted to do it. So I eventually wound up getting into real estate after my restaurant management career, and loved it. I took a leap of faith and got into it. And after about 5 years, I went to a very independent company at the time, Remax, this was about 30 years ago. And I remember that, I was discussing it with my mother and with my husband, and everybody's like, oh, you're doing so well at the company you're at. But I knew if I went with this other company, I'd be more entrepreneurial running my business. And I wanted to be in a job or in a position where if I worked really hard, I got compensated. If I didn't get paid. So I really wanted to be on my own. So I did that and borrowed money. And sometimes you have to go with your gut on that and your passion. And I had an amazing 30-year run in real estate that opened doors I would never have had anywhere else. But I think one thing from the decision to step out of my comfort zone where I was and go totally self-funded on my own, I would tell people that leap of faith is worth it. It can be scary, but you believe in yourself and you know that you want to do it and you work really hard, it will pay off for you. So move forward, because when you're uncomfortable is when you can find the biggest opportunities and growth. And that happened to me also during my career when my husband and I, right before I got into real estate, we lived in Boston, and I used to watch basketball all the time. I fell in love with that because in the Northeast, it's cold all the time,
Yeah.
fall, winter, summer, it didn't matter, right? So
Mhm.
I watched a lot of it, and I remember watching Chuck Daly coach the Pistons and the Boston Celtics. So when we were in Orlando, we first moved there, we didn't have a lot of money, but we wound up buying one ticket to the Orlando Magic, and we would take turns going for that seat. So we didn't get to go together. But then we eventually got two seats where we were together, and I remember seeing Chuck Daly as the announcer down there. I thought, I just want to meet that guy one day. Just someday I want to meet him. And a couple of years later, the Magic actually brought him out of retirement and hired him as a head coach. And so I had to find somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. So my husband had a restaurant, and he had a customer who was friends with the PR person, and
Oh.
they made a call and got me a name of somebody in that organization. So I just called. The person had no idea who I was, and I just asked if I could drop off a relocation package, and they said, sure, but I can't promise you anything. And then a couple of weeks later, I got a phone call from a gentleman who asked me if I would help his friend, and I said, absolutely. What's your friend's name? And he said Chuck Daly, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack right there on the spot. So I think we all have opportunities to do things we've never dreamed of, but we don't grab those opportunities because we're afraid we're going to look bad, be embarrassed, upset somebody, and you know what? You got to go for it. So I would tell people that throughout my career I did that, and both my husband and I both have been so blessed to meet so many people, whether it's, athletes or anybody from Evel Knievel to, the Patrick Ewings, the players of the world, the coaches, golf, all kinds of people we would never have the opportunity to meet through our businesses, be it the restaurant, be it real estate, that they're fascinating careers. And if you have that desire to get rewarded for the hard work you put in, you do it. And then I got blessed because during my career then I met Rick Ruby, who invited me to be a partner with him, and we've been partners for 20 years, which is pretty unheard of in partnerships. And we're partners, we're friends, we're really like family. And that changed my life too, because he gave me and had me really focus on the details of business. That I did some of that at the restaurant business, doing P&Ls, but then not really for my own business. So having great mentors is so important in your life. And even beyond that, I would say, having I've always had a coach, had a mentor in the restaurant business, always had a coach once I got into real estate. I've had Rick. So have a coach, but then be coachable. So you got to surrender, and to be under authority, you may think at first, well, that's stifling, but actually it's the most liberating, best growth you can ever have. And so that is very important. So getting out of your comfort zone, walking through your fear, finding great mentors, and a lot of times making decisions, going from your gut. And also in real estate, I always said that, it's very hard sometimes to be direct and honest with the people we serve, because they're customers and clients. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or do anything, but we're also in positions to be advisors. So there's times we have to be very honest with them. And I always said, I will always tell them the truth. It may not be what they want to hear, but maybe what they need to hear, because I also wanted to be able to sleep at night and know I gave them the best counsel so they can make the best decision. So that's another thing I would say, is that has always helped me. And then also having a very supportive spouse. My husband, because we were both in the restaurant business when we met, we understood the demand for being self-employed, because the buck always stops with you.
Yeah.
So we, supported each other as we were both self-employed, worked very hard, and are very blessed now. But we've also, made time for some travel and time together. But we also know when the business calls and they need us, we have to go. And it's so having that understanding was very important. So those are some of the things I would share.
Well, I think those are amazing things. So thank you so much for sharing. There's so many great points. I especially like how you're talking about kind of getting out there and kind of jumping the gun, but definitely getting out there and putting yourself out there and going, hey, I don't know really if this will work, but it's so nice to hear that. Yeah, it was a great decision to go on my own and do it all on my own. And I think it really cements the belief that, if you believe in it and you are willing to put in the work, that it'll work. And even if you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if it will work, but having that belief system of like, hey, it's happened for other people and they're widely successful. And why can't it happen to me? Why can't I go out there, and why can't I meet, amazing basketball stars? And if I just kind of put in the effort and I put that out there, there's no reason why I can't have what I want.
Absolutely. It's all out there. And sometimes you have to ask somebody else, to help you. Just through those 2 or 3 layers, you're going to find all the connections you need. So every relationship, even if you're in sales and you say, one of my biggest relationships was a lady builder who I got to be friends with, and she started building inside a gated community. So I knew I could never list her properties, right, because she's represented by the on-site agents. But then she referred me to a customer outside the community that needed to sell a house so they could get inside, where she built one. And that's how my whole career started, with the PGA and the LPGA. And so you have to look past the fact that every person may not be a direct result, but that person's connecting you to future results. And so you have to really be conscious and be kind and, stay connected to all the relationships you meet, because you don't know when that all comes back full circle. It could come back with that person. It could be a couple of years. It could be 10 years. You never know. But if you build on that, then that's how your career will continue to build and build, because more and more connections will start coming together as time goes by.
Wow, yeah, that's really powerful. I know there's so many times when you're like, oh, but I don't think I'm going to get any business out of them. I don't know how this could help me. But you never know. They can know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and then there you go. And you get so much business out of that person that they knew like 5 people down the line. So life really works in mysterious ways. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kind of let it.
Absolutely. So just get out there and go for it.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. I learned a lot. It was such a great call. It was so awesome to hear from you directly, and I really treasure this time. So thank you so much.
Well, you are most welcome, young lady, and I think what you're doing is a great thing to spread all that information to all the young people, so that you all, just realize what a bright future you have.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome, and you'll have a great rest of your day, okay?
You too. Thank you.